Hi, Tara. Welcome to Coaches on a Mission.
Hey, Dallas. So excited to be here.
Same. Okay. Can you please fill our listeners in on what you want to coach around today?
Sure. So I've really been leaning into how do I build a business that I love? And my first reaction is that even possible? But I really want to lean into the things that I love. And I think when I think of that, I'm like, is there even a business model that fits with that? Can I make money from that? How long will it take to make money from that? Can people even afford things right now that I love? Like, I think I'm just like, is it just I have these ideas and I want to bring community together. But is anyone even interested
Right.
in that anymore when we can just access everything via a text or a phone call? It's not to say that I don't want to do that, but like that's kind of what it feels like. And I kind of want to flip my business so that I'm focused more on the group and community and not
Yeah.
just the one-on-one coaching. I love to facilitate and train, and I want to bring some more ideas and accessible things to people. So I guess the question is like, how do I build this community-based business while
Yes.
still doing what I love and still aligned to the values that matter to me?
Yeah. Okay. What is it you love?
I love, I'll say what I like, the aha moment
Yeah.
that people get when something changes. When
Same.
they
Yes.
And so the way that I do that
Yeah.
is like when I'm facilitating a group, when I
Yeah.
am training on something that like I talk a lot about leadership and business, and I think I come at it from a different perspective. And so I think people are always like, oh, is that what that means? Like if we're talking about feedback, like something as simple as feedback, well, not simple, but you know what I mean? And so it's like, oh, she brings a different perspective to this. This is actually accessible to me. And I'm like, yes, you're going to change your life today.
Yeah.
And your
Right.
life is going to be so much better. And I'm just glad I had a little piece, a little piece
Yes.
of
Yes.
that.
And there's something different about those, I call them spark moments, right?
Yeah.
Those spark moments when they happen, when they're witnessed by a group versus that one-on-one exchange that happens in coaching. I'm not saying it's better, but it definitely is maybe a little sparkier. Yeah?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. I think
Yeah.
there's so much value,
Mm-hmm.
like especially even on your calls when somebody has an aha moment
Oh, it's so fun.
and then the chat is like just buzzing with, oh my gosh, this is what unlocked for me, this is what unlocked for me. And that's the power of like group and bringing
Yeah.
people together.
Got it. Okay, so here's what I hear. Up until now, you have been building a coaching business, really thinking about the one-to-one model first.
Mm-hmm.
But when you stopped and really asked yourself, what is it that I love? What you love is community. So now
Mm-hmm.
you're looking to build a business that leans into community and a community that creates this environment for these spark moments.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the questions come in. Do people even want this? If they do, will they pay for it?
Mm-hmm.
How do I have a community model and make money?
Yep.
Right. Did I get all of them? Yeah. And what's the point?
I would also add to that, all of that is true. And then is it possible to not just trade my time for money
Yeah. Got
doing
it.
that? Do I
Yeah.
have any leverage
Tell me
in
more
that
about
kind of
that
model?
part.
So whenever I'm coaching people, like I love being in the moment, it's great, but I'm like, that's maybe 60 minutes. 60
Uh-huh.
minutes. To make enough money in the one-on-one model, you
Mm-hmm.
either have to charge a certain number or you have to have a lot of clients, like
Yeah.
some version of that.
Yep.
That's time away from my kids.
Yep.
It's time away from my husband. And so, as much as I love it,
Mm-hmm.
now my values are out of alignment
Yeah.
to some extent. And
Yep.
so I'm like, okay, well, if I'm bringing people together, is it possible to do that and still have my self-care time and my family time and all of the wonderful things that allow me to be such a great coach.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. All right, well, let's find out, shall we?
We're going to solve it all. It's going to
We're
be
going to solve it
great.
all today in 45 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing I just wanted to get clear on was what is it you love so that our listeners can follow along.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the best way in is for me to just start by asking, what's the vision? Even if it's really foggy, right, or unclear, or even if you've never thought about it up until now, as we're sitting here together and you think about a business that leverages community, what does that look like for you?
So I'll take the business part out because I think that's where my vision starts to be like, is this possible?
Okay, good. Great.
I picture camp, like 10 people on an overnight with bunk beds chatting about the lives that they want to create while also filling their cup away from their kids. Although that's not the only thing that people have at home, but like their pets or their partners or whatever that looks like. I picture a book club where we're just chatting about what we've learned over the last month, not what happened in chapter 5, but this is what I'm taking away from it. What are you taking away from this read? Do we even agree with this read? I picture a really like a lively, I'm going to say WhatsApp, but it could be whatever platform works. Just people being like, this was what happened to me today. And, you know, like just supporting each other. I picture me on stages. Like, I don't know if it's keynoting, but I definitely have always just kind of seen myself sharing information. I see karaoke.
Great.
On the weekends. I don't know, like just people coming together that are doing the work. Whatever that looks like, because we're all on a different journey, but we're supporting each other in the work.
The work of what?
Personal growth.
Got it.
So you and I might not be on the same journey, but we're unpacking and we're repackaging and we're breaking things down and we're putting it back together, and we can text each other through that to be like, man, this week was hard. Like all my stuff came up, but thank you for being here. I just wanted to say that out loud.
Yeah, got it. Here's what I heard. Okay. Playful togetherness, shared learning, insightful conversations, lively support. Stages, karaoke stages, speaking stages. But I was just listening to the themes there, and there's this real feeling of togetherness. It's light and playful. There's a commitment to shared learning, even though we're not moving through the curriculum.
Yeah.
Right? Chapter by chapter. Go ahead.
I'd also add challenge.
Good. Yeah.
So this isn't supposed to be comfortable at all, because it's not. And I picture people coming together to, I'm going to say the word protect.
Okay.
Like, I'm just thinking about equity and accessibility and bringing people in who you may or may not have even like crossed paths with before. And I know I can't guarantee a safe space, but it's like, how do we create the space where everybody is protecting that everybody belongs here, no matter what? And we're going to do our best to say, I'm sorry. And I'm going to call you out or call you in or whatever that looks like. And it's never taken personally.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
So imagine your dreamiest of dream members inside of this community. Tell me a little bit about them.
Oh, they're quiet rebels.
Yeah.
So They're in the middle.
Hmm.
And the middle being, I don't even know if I want to define that, to be honest.
Okay.
But I
Yeah.
picture them like they're not where they want to be. They're not
Mm-hmm.
where they were. And they're not the type to go protest downtown.
Uh-huh.
They're not the type to put up their placards and put on whatever colors, but they believe that stuff is important. They're just not sure how to show up in the world
Yeah.
because they know that the system is the system that they have to work within, but they know that it doesn't work.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah.
But they take little stands
Mm-hmm.
every day or every week or whatever their cadence is, where it's like, how are you really? Like asking a coworker, how are you really at work? And you know what? We can cancel this call today because you're sick. There's no pushing, there's no like trying to get everything out of the people that you work with, or even like if it was a play date or a park, um, or just friends getting together, it's like they're so willing to look at their stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
Like they're just so willing to be like, thank you for pointing that out. I'm going to go think on that. Or I have been thinking about that. Thank you for calling me out. They want to figure out, how to be. And I would say that they're probably at some point of just rediscovering who they are after some type of transition or like big life change.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I picture like parents of toddlers, let's say, like that's a big, like, okay, I'm getting my sleep back potentially.
Yes. Right.
Or I just got a new promotion, or
Relocation.
going back to school,
Yeah.
or
Going back to school. Yes.
and it's like there's something new required of me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not sure how to manage this transition.
Yeah. Got it.
And they like fun.
And they're fun. That's
They're
the
fun.
quiet part, right?
Yeah, like talking about leadership shouldn't be boring. Like, why? There's no need. We're all just living, right?
Right. Yes. Oh my God. Totally.
So more like I want pop culture references, and it
Yeah.
doesn't have
Less
to be
spreadsheets.
stuffy.
Yeah. Got it. Got it. Okay. All right. You sound really clear. What was it like sharing that with me?
It was nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I do feel clear. It's nice to say it out loud. I also see that person like, why won't you buy from me? Like, I have it all for you. Like, just come, I will help you. And that's where it starts to be like, oh, we're getting into the real
Right.
world.
Okay.
But that feels good. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I just got like such a clear piece of inspiration, I'll call it.
Love
I'd
it.
love to just kind of pitch an idea to you, and we can use it as a jumping off point to craft, to start to think about how does this vision translate into some sort of a business entity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So enter the Messy Middle podcast, right? Where you can bring on guests or you can teach little lessons. All around for this person. You could have a book club on the podcast if you wanted to. How cool would that be? You bring guests on and you talk about what you learned from book XYZ. Like, so the podcast becomes the platform, in a way, the lead magnet, right? And then you can use the podcast and have a subscriber level of listener. So I don't know if you know this about me, but I do enjoy true crime podcasts.
No, I didn't know.
Oh, more than one should enjoy them. I enjoy them quite a bit, right? And there's a very popular true crime podcast called Crime Junkie.
Okay.
They're making millions of dollars easily through advertising, but also through their subscriber network. It started off as a Patreon subscription.
Okay.
And people got special subscriber only episodes. And I think it was like $10 a month or something like that. And it's grown and evolved from there. I will say for the record, I do not pay. I'm not that much of a true crime podcast lover, but I'm aware that they have this level. So that was the first thought that came to me was if we're creating community and you want to really be able to communicate all that you know and help people, you could create a podcast. You have potential ad revenue and then subscriber revenue. And the subscriber part could start, right, with book clubs, like you mentioned, with like fireside chats, like, hey, everyone, we're having a pop-up on Zoom this afternoon to talk about feedback. Here are 3 questions to consider. I'll see you at 3. So it's really not, there's no curriculum, there's no call schedule. It's really the neighborhood, it's camp, right? And here's this spur of the moment inspiration that comes in. You can build out more from there, but that was the idea that came to mind as I was listening to you, and I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I had a podcast called The Messy Middle.
No shit.
With 2 other friends that we did in the pandemic, and it was so fun. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I'm like, you're onto something because that name resonates with me. I love the podcast idea. Like, as you were talking, I think what's really, first of all, I'm like, I would just love to do that. So
okay, we're leaning into what you love. So
there's no
we're on track here,
resistance on
right?
that. You've just kind of blown my mind about, of course, there's other revenue models that I had not even thought of. So very cool. And it's just like me talking about the things that I love.
Yeah.
And I think the people who resonate will come.
Yes.
And there's no pressure. Like, that doesn't feel like pressure because I listen to so many podcasts. I don't listen to every week. I don't, it's like I listen to what resonates with me, and that's cool.
Yes. And if we're leaning into what you love, and what you love is community, what that looks like is a higher volume, lower price point model.
Yeah.
So how can we fast track, if you will? That might be generous terms, but what do we do to put you on a platform where you have access to a higher volume of people? Yeah. And that's podcasts.
Yeah.
And also, people want to join the messy middle. They want to literally be in the messy middle, right?
Yeah.
Because they value community, not because they're going to learn how to get 10,000 Instagram followers in a month, or how to get a promotion, or how to fix your resume, or any of this other stuff that your audience may appreciate it. They're there because they love camp so much, and they know camp's going to be awesome, even if they don't know the schedule.
Yeah. I really love that. That feels easy.
It feels so fun. I want to listen. Can you start? Can you bring the podcast back, please?
I totally can. It feels like, I don't know, home. It's talking does not come hard for me.
No,
it comes easily to me. However you would say that.
How funny that you were talking about how easily you can talk, and yeah,
right on time.
Yep.
So, like, I could just see myself fitting that in the nooks and crannies of my life very easily without taking away from the things that feel, when I listen to like an hour and a half episode, I'm like, that's not what we're talking about, because who has time for that? So that's kind of, here's your 10-minute Tara thought,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that kind of thing. Yeah.
So I might lose you here. So I understand that I risk that, but I'd love to just share these ideas about what it might look like to grow it. So I'm going to get a little businessy and strategic. All right. So throw it all away if it doesn't resonate because we're leaning into what you love.
Well, this is good because context down the road helps me now. So I think that'll be really good.
Great. So how do we monetize this? Right. I mentioned a couple of them. Advertising. That doesn't happen overnight. You got to build your listenership, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have, and there are all sorts of ways to build your listenership, but one concrete way when you're first getting started is kind of a version of client search where it's like, I've got a goal of 150 reviews on my show by this date. Will you help me out and tell 3 people, right?
Right.
Okay, so ads.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is a subscriber level,
Okay.
right? A third option, when, if ever it inspires you, there's so much room here for you to roll out paid mini trainings. They're free for subscribers, right? But let's say you have a whole episode on how to ask for a raise. You could create a little PDF step by step or a little pocket card that people can print out and hide it in their back pocket as they're asking for their raise on here's the steps to follow, and you sell it for $12, right? Or $9 or whatever. So there are so many small places where you can generate, it's almost like creating merch in a way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But generate these mini courses to just start to monetize your show in a fun way to creatively express yourself. The book club could become something that people donation based, right? People, if they like the book and they want to join, it's a pay what you can book club for the month of April. There are so many small ways that
Mm-hmm.
add up to reliable revenue without you feeling like without you ever having to host another sales call.
That sounds amazing.
Now, I want to be really clear for our listeners. Tara and I are both very smart individuals. We understand that this is not something that she's just going to snap her fingers and have a 6-figure business on her hand, but you've currently designed your life to give you some breathing room so that this can grow a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more organically without the pressure to monetize right away. But all of these ideas, when you stay consistent, build up over time, and you've got a high volume, low price point, high, like medium touch, right?
Yeah,
Business model that aligns with this value you hold of community.
I like it. It's the aha moments. That's what those things do. Like the right podcast episode on the right day is gold.
Totally. Completely.
Um, and I like that idea because I know so many people who are busy, um, that it could just be like a 5-minute episode or it could be an hour. I don't know. But there's no uh, model that I have to follow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I can make it.
You could intentionally design this to be like a relationship between 2 friends. Like, I know I'm going to hear from you, but you might text me on a Thursday or you might call me on a Sunday morning. So the episode lengths could never be the same. The days you drop them intentionally are never the same. Like, you could really play around with that model to give you
Yeah.
freedom, but also just to keep people on their toes and be a little unexpected, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what are the next 2 or 3 steps around this?
So I think what would help me is a launch date
Okay.
because otherwise it'll just be, oh, I'm doing a podcast and it'll never happen. So having some kind of, okay, I need to do this by this week or that kind of thing um, needs to happen. And I think also planning out, well, first big in terms of brainstorming, like what would I actually want to talk about? What are those things?
Yeah.
And then kind of narrowing in once I do a little bit more writing around that. who would I want to talk to, or what would I want to talk about? Like, what are my first episodes?
Got it.
So that I've got a bank for launch. And choosing fun music. I think that will set the tone.
Completely. I love your priorities. Yes, completely.
And a name. I don't know if I can do the messy middle, but I like it.
All you have to do is check with your co-hosts, make sure they're okay with you
Yeah.
bringing it back.
Yeah. Those feel like the right, it's kind of like shaping, I guess.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of little mini steps in there that I probably haven't mentioned, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking like shaping. What is the podcast called? What is the description for it? How would I explain it to somebody? What are the topics that I'm talking about? So all of that goes into a successful launch for anything. What am I actually
Yes.
talking about?
Yep. Got it. So I'm thinking about the Hive curriculum, and you'd have to, it's not exactly a fit, but it could be a close enough place to get started. If you think about the training around developing your signature system,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like those are kind of the pillars of what the conversations might be around. So that training may create a little bit of a container for this ideation.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, launch date, episode outlines, and music, but really designing the look and feel of the show itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want any support around that right now?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it needs to percolate a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to just let you know when it kind of like ding, ding, ding. I'll let
Yeah.
you know. But as far as accountability, I think I'm good.
Yeah. Okay, good. So I couldn't help myself. I pulled out my calculator. If you had 694 paid subscribers to the show, right, who were paying $12 a month, you would have a six-figure community on your hands.
That blows my mind.
In what sort of way? Say more.
In a good way. I think I've been trying so hard to be like, I should charge this much because coaching is so powerful. And,
Yeah.
there is something so appealing about I only have to work with 5 people. I only have to work with, the more that I go, or I think the more that I went down that path, it just didn't feel good to me. And the fact is that I want to reach more people.
Yes.
And the things that I love reach more people by default. So, it feels like, oh wow, I could actually monetize it and not feel icky, although that's a whole other episode about what I charge.
Yeah.
Because to me, I'm like, wow, $12, I would pay that.
Totally.
I would easily pay that.
It's all, and I see with a lot of these podcast platforms that have membership communities, members pay as a way to show their gratitude for the show.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So I couldn't help myself. I pulled out my calculator.
I love it.
Let's assume that 3% of your listenership ended up moving into the subscriber level. I have no data. I'm just pulling that from like online launch numbers. I have no data around what that actually looks like in the podcast world. But let's just, for today, you'd be looking at, the goal would be 23,000 listeners to your show. Which sounds to me, that's a big number, but that is not an impossible number.
No.
Especially if you're leaning into what you love and showing up to build community.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to share those numbers with you just to see if they sparked a sense of possibility or any other sort of emotion.
So the first thing I thought was like, focus on quality.
Yeah.
There's all the technical things that go along with that, like email, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, if you focus on quality, and people resonate with what it is that you're talking about, that doesn't seem so hard.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Because I know not everyone's like this, but I share anything that I love. Like, I am like, you need to listen to this. This is going to change your life. And I don't know if that ever like results in subscribes, but it's kind of like everybody knows what I love because I share it wide.
Yes.
And so it feels like it's going to take time. Like, I'm not disillusioned about that. It's like, yeah, that's going to take time, but it doesn't feel like it's going to take 20 years.
Agreed. Yeah. And it sure, just in the conversation together, it sure doesn't feel like a heavy lift.
No, it doesn't.
Or I'll maybe say a burdensome lift. Yeah.
That's a good change. Like I said, it feels fun.
Yeah.
It feels fun.
Great.
It feels like something I could really make. I don't know. I'm going to say make a name for myself, but I don't mean that. I mean more of like my voice. I'm trying to divorce myself from this is what everybody else says. And it's like, this is what I say. This is what I have to say about it. And I feel like this is probably the easiest way for me to find that without high stakes.
Yep. Totally, Tara. So at the beginning of our conversation, the questions were, can I really have a business that I love? Do people care and will they pay for it? So today, how are you feeling about those questions? About your answers to those questions today?
I think I'm flabbergasted about how I don't have to coach to do any of that. Like, which I'm always going to be a coach, but like that feels like a huge relief in terms of I don't have to rely on like having someone like shift in every conversation to make a business. Like, that's going to happen. I still do that every day, but it's like, oh wow, I could just talk to no one really.
Right.
And that could happen. Like, that feels spacious and luscious and an easy shift. Like, when I think about, oh, this isn't working, it's such an easy shift because it's like, oh, the next episode, you just do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, my mind is blown.
I'm so happy. I'm excited for this. So selfishly, you better make this happen because I cannot wait to give you my $12 every month.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. That's just, yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Really cool. Is there anything else you want to ask or share before we wrap up?
I'm curious about, like, I remember you saying this in episodes before where you talk about you just scaled to the next thing because people were asking for it. And I don't want to plan too far in advance, but I'd just be curious, like, if I was seeing traction, it's like, how do you kind of know what's next? Because you've had that experience. Like, what's the feeling when you're like, oh, there's something else that's required?
Yeah. Oh, what a good question. Thank you for asking. So one of the skills we have because we're coaches is the ability to listen very actively. So that before even the feeling, it's just paying attention all the time, right? Okay. And not in a way that requires even any effort. It just requires some intention. So when I look at any expansions I've done or major pivots that I've made, it's just looking for clues out of the mouths of my clients, my subscribers, my community. Right. So that's the first thing, right? And when I start to hear the same, and they're often off the cuff. I remember when the first step I took to begin to close down my first business and start serving coaches was in a one-on-one coaching session with an actor, because that was my other business, right? They just off the cuff said something like, boy, wouldn't it be great if you taught me? Wouldn't it be great if I could have another dream job? You should teach people how to do that. because their dream job is acting, but wouldn't it be cool to have another dream job? I actually created a course called Your Other Dream Job, teaching actors how to have a side business. But I would say 3 more times within a 10-day span, other people gave me little hints.
Mm-hmm.
So if you believe in things like messages from the universe, right? Like they're coming in, so we just have to attune to them. The second thing, when you ask about feeling, the word I use to describe the feeling I have when it's time for the next phase is itchy. Because it is a little uncomfortable for me when it's time to add the next layer or do the next thing or close the thing down. It's uncomfortable, not because I'm scared, but because I'm starting to get annoyed that I haven't done it yet. So it's that itchiness, right? Like, okay, I've been getting these signs and I've been thinking about the thing, and here I am sitting and not taking action. So for me, that itchiness is a huge indicator and motivator to make a change. Okay. And then the other thing I just always remember, I can change my mind again, right? Like I can reopen. Well, Client Surge, there's an example. Client Surge used to be my only course. And I'm like, I do not want to talk about sales calls anymore for as long as I ever live. So I stopped offering Client Surge. And then I rolled it into the Hive. And then I thought, you know what? I really miss having dedicated conversations about sales calls. I'm going to bring Client Surge back. Like we're moving. We are in the middle, right? Just to use your language, which means we can change our mind and rinse and repeat or never look back. And when I really understood through trying to get it right for so many years and realizing that right is a made up moving target, I'm just not afraid to make mistakes. So that's such a perfect permission structure to go for the thing I'm feeling itchy about, because even if it's the wrong thing, I'm going to land somewhere and figure out the next thing.
I love that. I feel like that's my messy middle.
Yeah.
Is like letting go. I feel like I'm in a lot of letting go right now, and getting comfortable with that.
Yeah.
For sure. So that's helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
This was one of those episodes where in preparation I thought, I have no idea where this conversation is going to go. And those are some of my favorite episodes. So I really appreciate you showing up today and asking these questions.
Thank you so much, Dallas. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.